Atelier Ryza has done very well, becoming a very successful game. Well, while it has been the most successful Atelier game ever, thing of it is that it seems that Gust has given their opinions on censorship, and it's not looking very good. Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? I hope you all are having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully you all will have it better tomorrow. So, Gust, the developers over there that made Atelier Ryza, well, it looks like they've come out with their take on censorship, and oh boy, is this not a good take at all by any means. This article is by Bounding Into Comics. Atelier Ryza 2 developer does not see overseas censorship as something necessarily bad. Oh, really? Because censorship of any kind is terrible. Oh, man. So, let's get into this article. Let's see what they had to say about this. According to a member of Gust, the Japanese development studio behind the Atelier and our Lonelico franchises, the team does not consider country-specific censorship of their titles to be something necessarily bad. Gust brand manager Junzo Hosoi revealed the company's forgiving attitude towards mandatory overseas edits in a recent interview with Nintendo-related news outlet Nintendo Life. Oh boy, and it gets more interesting from here. When asked by Nintendo Life writer Gavin Lane how the developer felt when a game must be altered for release in other markets or on other platforms, Hosoi responded that the Gust team do not see the need to edit a title for another culture or country as something necessarily bad. So let me get this straight. They don't think this is bad if they have to censor it for another country due to their culture. This to me just sounds like complete cuckery. It sounds like they've just completely cocked out. Oh boy. But this isn't all. In the case of Atelier Ryza 2, the title we put together does not need to be censored for any market, and many people around the world can enjoy it as it was intended. Of course, as a player, I understand the desire to play the game as the creator intended. Well, then, if that's the case, then you wouldn't be okay with censorship, and you'd want the game to be just exactly the way it's supposed to be the entire time. You would think that they would realize that, because gamers want their games to be uncensored. They want them to be the way they're supposed to be. There shouldn't be any idea of, oh yeah, censorship's okay, because censorship of any form is not okay. It is not fine. You know, the consumer is the one who chooses whether they want the product or not. They will look at it and say, hey, look, this is something I'm interested in. And if they're not interested in it, then they'll be like, okay, well, this is something I'm not interested in, and I'll find something that I would prefer. You know, censoring something that people want, well, that's just going to turn them off to what they originally liked. That's why people don't like censorship. This is why censorship is bad in any form. I do not like censorship of any kind, and many people don't as well. Of course, you know, when you have NPCs out there, well, they are going to try to censor everything at the source, which is what they've been trying to do. And what this is basically Gust stating here is that they have taken this into consideration. When you look at PlayStation, for example, and Sony over there, well, Sony has that family-friendly console, and kind of funny that they'll censor anime girls, but, you know, you'll have that pro golf swinger Abby spicy scene, if you know what I mean. And they'll see that as fine, though, but 2D sexy female characters, now that's bad. You know, they look at it like, sexy woman bad. You know, that's how they see it. It's absolutely frustrating. Hosoi's particular comment on the censorship of Atelier Ryza 2, Lost Legends, and the Secret Fairy comes as a sigh to relief for fans who believe the game would have its content edited following the premiere of two separate versions of the game's trailer at the Tokyo Game Show 2020 due to Siri Gloss's bare thighs being viewable in one version and covered up by a convenient cloud dust in the other. However, given that these two trailers were made to promote the game for Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 platforms respectively, it appears that Sony's overly sensitive content guidelines is to blame for the momentary dust storm, in which, as everybody knows, Sony has really changed in comparison to what they were. I mean, when Nintendo censors games, it's usually their first-party games. I don't agree with it, but hey, you know, that's what they do. Sony, on the other hand, well, you know, they censor whatever they don't like, whatever doesn't fit their standards. And as you can see within the two pictures, the one before and then this one right here, with the cloud dust around the thighs. For one, it looks absolutely ridiculous, but this is Soiny standards right here. But this also means that Atelier Ryza, they've come into consideration of thinking that this is okay, in which it is not okay. And look, with Atelier Ryza itself already being as popular as it has been, I mean, look, it's made for a niche audience to begin with. But then once it goes worldwide, you have all these other fans coming in there, and then they're going to look at it, especially when you have all of these Puritans running around on Twitter screaming about how the character looks. As we saw that, the big thing that was going on with Atelier Ryza was the fact that they were screaming over Ryza's thighs and all the fan service. You know how they are with that stuff. You know, the Puritans are ridiculous. They're nothing but a bunch of clowns. They shouldn't be taken seriously. But whenever these companies start to take this seriously, well, that's when it's not good. Because then they think that these Puritans that are screaming over it, they think they're the real fans, but they don't even buy the product. They don't care for it. And then they actually listen to that, and then they think, well, maybe we should censor it, which is not good. And now, take a look at this. This is very interesting right here. Prior to this interview, Atelier Ryza 2 publisher Koei Tecmo addressed the issue on their Twitter account, saying, despite the differences in Atelier Ryza 2 promotional videos recently shown at TGS, we want to assure fans that the game itself will not be censored in the West. Now, do you know why I don't believe this? Does anybody know why I don't believe this statement? Because does anybody remember the promise that Koei Tecmo made and then went completely back on when they tricked fans? Well, it was actually with the Fairy Tail game. Because, as everybody knows, Fairy Tail, when the game came out first day, they had an update where they censored the entire game. This is how you lose your fan base. This is how your customers then start to walk away, because they were promised a product that was not going to be censored, because Koei Tecmo promised months in advance that this game would not be censored, and then that's what they did. This is when you cut off the goodwill between you and your fans. You know, it was right there that when I saw that tweet, I was like, oh man, this is going to be a great game. I thought, you know, oh man, I'm glad they're not going to censor it. And then, of course, they did. that was already bad enough. And now that we're seeing this, who's to say they won't go back on their word again? Like I said, what this does is this severs the trust between the developers and the fans. And you better expect them to walk away. You know, it's like Senran Kagura. What happened? Well, Soiny themselves, with their censorship policies, well, they jumped in there and they were like, hey, you know, we can't do these sexy anime girls. You know, this is too much. 2D boobs are bad. You know, and they censored it, which basically ruined the series. And that's when I was done with Soiny at that moment. They ruined one of my all-time favorite franchises. It was absolutely frustrating. And I was done. I was done with Soiny. I absolutely was. And I wanted to bring up this article because this article is very important because it really tells you what's going on in the gaming industry. So, Kenichiro Takaki interview, why he quit Marvelous, his new project, and future plans. Now, this is from Niche Gamer, and this came out last year. But what's very important is this. So let's take a look at what he had to state. So this was what was questioned. First of all, please tell us the reasons behind you quitting Marvelous. And Takaki states, the biggest reason is the censorship of sexual expression that has been a big topic since last year, and the changes in that situation. Even before that, there had been minor changes, but recently it became like, that is not allowed. This is not allowed. Probably not allowed. And a lot of things were suddenly not allowed. I never thought of leaving Marvelous or changing styles of my job before, but at a certain time period in last year, I felt like a thread of me was cut all of a sudden. And see, that's what they were doing. They were dictating what they can and can't do. They were taking away their creativity, and they were like, oh no, you can't do this because this is bad. And see, here's the thing. As you can see, what these Puritans are doing, they're going to the source, and they're telling the creators, hey, you can and can't do this. You know, this doesn't fit our standards, so you have to change it. And, you know, understandably so, this would frustrate anyone because you're taking away their freedom of expression. You're taking away how they want to do things just because, oh, it's got to fit our standards. You know, that's what these Puritans are doing. And it's disgusting. This is why Japan has gone to their own government to try to keep their freedom of expression so that the West doesn't try to interfere on what they do. And this is what Soiny's been doing. They've been trying to interfere from the source. And you can see how frustrating it is because these Puritans are taking away the freedom of expression of these creators. So looking at the next part, having sexual impression has been getting a bigger influence on making games. Sounds about right. Originally, I was trying best to make my games better with a lot of limitations I had, such as time, budget, staff I had, but limitations in the creative part has been really tough. Having sexual impression gets criticisms, but at the same time, there are a lot of people who support it while enjoying it. Senran Kagura makes you think I did everything I wanted without limitations, but I cared about a lot of things and talked a lot with all parties concerned all the time. That being said, it was very close to be acceptable. Basically, everything was actually in an acceptable zone, even if it cannot be supported in general. I started making it with the thought, it is okay that this kind of game exists. I had been believing it could be a part of the attractions in the whole gaming industry, but realizing that it was broken so easily became a trigger for me to rethink a lot of things. And in the next part, it would be a big deal for you not being able to create what you have been creating. Rules and limitations to protect certain genres and age ranges are welcome, but I feel like process nowadays is definitely trying to destroy what I do. I am good and like to come up with ideas to make the best with the situation. However, with the current situation, I really doubt that it can be something really called Senran Kagura, or what fans are expecting, especially in the series. And see, that's the thing. I mean, you can tell his frustration with all this because, you look at it. I mean, how would you feel, somebody coming in just being like, hey, you can and can't do this, just tell them constantly they can't do this and they can't do that. I mean, see, that's the thing here, is that that's what's going on. That's basically one of the biggest reasons why he left. I mean, all of these are reasons why he left for the most part. But it's frustrating to see that they would take away his creativity, his freedom of expression. That's not right. That should never happen to a creator. So there won't be Senran Kagura without certain factors. Not at all. I think if we can't work on that, it won't be Senran Kagura. It's like I have to deal with how many erotic jokes can express in Senran Kagura with that limited range. Why are they trying to destroy spicy stuff that people can enjoy and laugh at? I'm suffering trying to understand the trend where the world is becoming humorless, smaller, and boring. Well, you can thank Puritans for that. That's what they do. They try to take away what's fun and interesting and makes games what they are, and then they try to shove in their agendas. That's exactly what we've been seeing with the industry and what we continue to see. This is why it makes people like us stand up so that we can actually create our own games and then make the industry great again. And that's the big thing. You're going to see more people start to rise up so they can actually create games that people will enjoy. And, when you see these Puritans run around all the time and try to censor things and take away what makes the games the game, well, then, yeah, people are not interested anymore because that's not what they came for. They didn't come to get an altered product. They came to get it the way it was supposed to be the whole entire time. I mean, that's why they come to it. That's why they enjoyed it in the first place. And here's the thing with Atelier Ryza. Atelier Ryza, why was it so successful? Because they didn't censor it. They kept it the way it was supposed to be, and people enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed that game. That game is a load of fun. But I can tell you right now, if they're going to censor this game, in which that tweet, while they're saying, oh, well, it's going to be fine, don't worry about it, which, then again, you look at it, they said that about Fairy Tail, and then they betrayed the fans' trust on that one. So, who's to say they won't do it again with the second Atelier Ryza? This is why it's becoming an issue. But anyways, let me know what you think about this entire situation down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here, and make sure you are still subscribed because YouTube is unsubscribing people from all their favorite channels. So make sure you are still subscribed to all your favorite channels. Hit the video with a like, and also be sure to share the video on social media. Spread the word to get it out there. It's greatly appreciated, and it really helps out the channel a lot. Also, be sure to follow me on Discord. We have a wonderful community there. Not only that, but it will keep you up to date on when the newest videos will be released, as well as any other upcoming events in the near future. So be sure to follow me on Discord. The link is in the description down below. But anyways, I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful and fantastic day today. And remember, if today was not a good day, tomorrow can always do better. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you. And have yourselves a good one out there, everybody.